The Anglo-Iraqi War in May of 1941 was a short, little-known but pivotal conflict during World War II, showcasing the global nature of the war and the strategic importance of the Middle East. At its center was a power struggle between the British Empire and a nationalist Iraqi government led by Rashid Ali al-Gailani, with the Germans briefly intervening in a desperate attempt to disrupt British control of the region. One of the most curious episodes of the war was the deployment of a German Luftwaffe unit known as Fliegerführer Irak, a small but significant force that aimed to aid Iraq's nationalist uprising against British colonial dominance. By 1941, the Middle East had become a crucial theater for control of oil supplies and strategic routes. Iraq, then under the rule of the pro-British regent Abdul Ailah, faced growing nationalist sentiment. In April of 1941, Prime Minister Rashid Ali al-Gailani, with the support from the pro-Axis Golden Square, overthrew the regent and declared a new nationalist government. The Golden Square was a group of pro-German officers of the Iraqi armed forces who played a part in Iraqi politics throughout the 1930s and early 1940s. The British, recognizing Iraq's oil fields essential to their war effort, moved swiftly to suppress the nationalist regime. Tensions escalated into open conflict when Iraqi forces besieged the large British airbase Royal Air Force Habaniya, prompting a decisive British military response. Germany did not have a common border with Iraq. Therefore, she turned to the Turkish government with a request to allow a limited German contingent, similar to Rommel's Afrika Korps, to pass through Turkish territory to Iraq. But the Turks refused. Then the Germans asked the Turks to allow them to at least smuggle weapons to Iraq through Turkey. But Turkey refused and also rejected the request of the German Air Force to use its airspace. The result of a joint German-Turkish assistance to the new pro-German government of Iraq would have changed the situation in the Middle East dramatically and would have affected the outcome of World War II. Germany could have secured the oil fields in the region, and the Luftwaffe bombers could have destroyed Baku, the Soviet oil metropolis, as well at the beginning of Operation Barbarossa. But the Turkish refusal forced the Germans to look for other ways to transfer weapons to Iraq. An air bridge was established from the territory of the Italian islands in the Aegean Sea because it was possible to fly around Turkish airspace only from the south. In an effort to support Rashid Ali and undermine the British in the Middle East, Germany dispatched a small Luftwaffe contingent known as Fliegerführer Irak or Flying Command Iraq. Led by Luftwaffe Colonel Werner Jung, the unit was assembled hastily and flew to Mosul, Iraq in early May of 1941. The Luftwaffe's presence in Iraq was logistically challenging. Germany had limited ability to project power over such a vast distance, particularly with Allied forces controlling key Mediterranean and North African routes. The unit relied on long flights across Vichy French-controlled Syria and territory to deliver aircraft and supplies. In the spring of 1941, the German Air Force was preparing for Operation Barbarossa, the large-scale invasion of the Soviet Union. That is why Fliegerführer Irak was a very modest force that included approximately 20 German aircraft, primarily consisting of Messerschmitt Bf 110 twin-engine fighters, Heinkel 111 bombers, and Junkers Ju-90 transport aircraft. It is interesting to note that while the German markings were overpainted with Iraqi symbols, many Messerschmitt Bf 110s in Iraq still featured the famous shark teeth marking of the Zerstörergeschwader, so destroyer wing 76 on the nose. While the German pilots were experienced, the unit faced challenging logistical problems. Maintenance and fuel supplies were severely limited, and the harsh desert conditions strained both men and machines. Despite these challenges, Fliegerführer Irak engaged in several bombing and reconnaissance missions targeting British positions. The unit provided support for Iraqi forces in their attempt to retake key air bases such as Habaniya and disrupt British supply lines. However, their impact was minimal due to the small scale of their operations and overwhelming British air superiority. The British military acted decisively to quash the uprising. At Habaniya, British forces, including Royal Air Force aircraft and ground troops, mounted a robust defense and launched counteroffensives that gradually pushed Iraqi forces back. The German Luftwaffe's attempts to influence the conflict were short-lived. By late May of 1941, British forces captured Baghdad and Rashid Ali's government collapsed. The surviving elements of the Fliegerführer Irak withdrew from Iraq, marking the failure of Germany's Iraqi intervention. The Anglo-Iraqi War underscored the strategic importance of the Middle East during World War II and the length to which both Axis and Allied powers would go to secure the region. For Germany, the deployment of Fliegerführer Irak highlighted the limits of their ability to project power beyond Europe and North Africa. For Britain, the victory in Iraq secured vital oil supplies and strengthened their positions in the Middle East, allowing for continued operations in North Africa and the Anglo-Soviet invasion of Iran a few months later in August of 1941. The defeat of Rashid Ali al-Gailani's government also served as a clear message to other nationalist movements that British control in the region would be fiercely defended. The story of Fliegerführer Irak remains a fascinating footnote in the history of World War II, a testament to the global nature of the conflict and the desperate measures taken by both sides in the pursuit of victory. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you want to support my channel, check out the PayPal donation link in the description or consider becoming a member. To make sure you don't miss my future work, subscribe to my channel please and press the bell notification button. Thank you and see you in the next video.